G'day superstars, welcome to our continued plot summary of The Secret River, the novel we're studying in grade 11. We're going to look at the third chapter today, which is A Clearing in the Forest. This is where we've moved past Sydney, where Thornhill's a convict and he doesn't have many rights, to where he is finally a land owner or someone who's claimed land. So let's start off. So the Thornhills finally moved to Thornhill's Point. It was his own, by virtue of his foot standing on it, mine. And this expresses how entitled the settlers felt to claim this land by virtue of his foot standing on it. So by his mere presence, he claims it. Thornhill saw that although this voyage from Sydney to Thornhill's Point had taken only a day, and the other voyage from London to Sydney, or Cindy, whoopsies, had taken the best part of the year, this was the greatest distance. And I think this encompasses the movement of his social order, or the movement through the class hierarchy. He's been on the bottom for so long, and his journey from Sydney, where he was just another convict, another settler, to this landowner, this land ownership across the Hawkesbury, it's a metaphorical journey for himself. My own, he kept saying to himself, my place, Thornhill's place. But the wind and the leaves up on the ridge was saying something else entirely. And what this quote captures is the conflict with the environment that Thornhill has. He's never able to necessarily reconcile himself in the environment. There's always conflict there. They're always at odds. So moving on to our second point now. So Willie and Thornhill plant cornfield or a cornfield to mark their territory. And they notice the soil's already been dug up, and it's this idea of fragile ownership. And this is where we get the symbol of the daisies, which, if you've watched the symbolism video, is one of the key symbols in this novel that exemplify or that demonstrates to us as a reader the fragility of the Aboriginal culture, that once it's dug up, it's gone forever. Thornhill becomes aware of natives watching him. It was not so much that they appeared as that they had chosen to become visible. And this shows us the connection that the Darug people, who are native to Thornhill's Point, the natives, of Thornhill's Point, are choosing for the settlers to see them. They are one with the environment, whereas Thornhill sticks out like a sore thumb. He offers them pork as a peace offering. An Aboriginal man then throws it to the ground. Thornhill slaps one of the men, and the noise of the spears is raised in the forest. So this sequence shows us that the conflict of land, the conflict of those values that the Aboriginal people see themselves as being in this reciprocal relationship, whereas Thornhill sees it as an ownership. We see that being expressed now in a racial conflict, a physical racial conflict between the settlers and the Darug. Thornhill and his family are told to leave. In any language, anywhere, that movement of the hand said, go away. So that's the slapping of the hand away. And things kind of simmer down and move on, and Thornhill continues to build his home for his family. So he doesn't take any notice of the Darug. He doesn't necessarily care about what they think. So at Thornhill's Point, Sal is lonely and strives to make the situation normal for her, so normal being her London life, the thing that she wants the most. Sal made a place called the Yard, a patch of earth that she scraped and swept until it was smooth. And this shows her values of what home is. It's a place of nurturing, of nourishment for people, of making things appear nice. It was a little death, not being able to make a tale out of the small moments of life and share them with someone for whom they were new. And this is clearly Sal's greatest gripe with where she is. She's so remote from everyone else. And this is where we start to get the visitors arriving. So Smasher, this is where we get to see how Smasher interacts with the Thornhills. So Smasher had filled the place with noise, but he left behind its mirror image, a silence in which his violent stories echoed. And this captures Smasher. While they can, the Thornhills engage with him in conversation, what is left in what is, I guess, them listening is this echo of the violence. He creates an echo chamber where people feel uncomfortable because they finally see the reality through his vulgar stories we're like given this picture into, hey, look at what you're doing, settlers. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. Following that, Thornhill invites neighbors around, and this is where Blackwood finally teaches his lesson to give a little and take a little. And this captures Blackwood's personality. He's someone who is involved in that reciprocal relationship. His beliefs, his core beliefs, align very closely with the Darug. Whereas Thornhill doesn't have that. He doesn't understand that to take something like the land where the daisy yams are growing, perhaps you should give something back. He doesn't know that. He can't fathom that in his brain because that's his land. And knowing that Thornhill had a huge sum to pay for his vessel, the Hope, he applied for convict servants to be assigned to him. And these are interesting characters that are mirrors for Thornhill. They're touchstones for him of his previous life in London. And we'll look at them a little bit more in depth later on. Every day, Sal marked the same tree, counting down the days until they could return to England, as Thornhill promised. And he's incredibly disappointed by the fact that she isn't loving it like he is. Even though he struggles, he still is in love with this place. He just finds so much purpose in it. So that wraps up our summary for A Clearing in the Forest. I hope you've gotten some key quotes out of this, some key information, and we'll continue next week with the next chapter. Thanks.